Hey guys, so here's question 1 for our writing prompt. So in your notebooks, you can either create this Foursquare, or if you want to type it on this document, it'll be shared with you this morning. So you can go into Classroom to your calendar and open it. So some people prefer to type, some people prefer to write. Either one is fine, but you want to have these ideas and thoughts written down somewhere so that when you get ready to actually write later today, you'll have your thoughts organized and you're ready to write and it won't be difficult. So the prompt says refer back to, and when I hear refer back to, I know they're asking me to go back to the text and find examples. So I'm going to make sure I want to use my evidence-based terms. Okay, so we're going to jot a few of those down in just a minute. Refer back to Making Mind Safer and Safe and Sound. So I've put those in my chart, which we'll talk about in a moment. But these are the 2 stories we just read to write your response. So I'm going to use examples from these stories. Based on these 2 passages, both of them, not one, describe the kinds of safety problems coal miners may face in their jobs. Use details from both passages to support your ideas. So I have used a version of the Foursquare, but you'll notice I made it more like a T-chart. So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, but I made the top 2 squares more of my titles of what I'm looking for, because in this writing prompt, we're not writing a narrative. We're not being asked to focus on several different parts of the writing prompt. We're just being asked to look at this story and look at this story and kind of find details that come from both. So I've just made my Foursquare into a little bit of a T-chart. I did give it the title, Safety Problems, because that's what I'm looking for. And then, of course, I put Making Mind Safer on the left, Safe and Sound on the right. Now, I would like for us to, underneath our title, add a few evidence-based terms. And I know we've been using these a lot in our reading responses, and we've had some assignments where we've focused on that. But because I'm going to be pulling examples from the text, I want to make sure that anyone who reads my response knows I'm not the expert. It didn't come from my head. It actually came from this author, this text, this person. So if you look back in your notes, and your notes may look different than mine. My group, we just kind of made a little list. I think Miss Corbin's group may have more of a chart. But we had some terms that we said are really good to use when I'm going to use examples from someone's mouth or from a text. And so some of those examples are, oops, if I can spell correctly, because, and because being in the middle of a sentence. Okay, so we don't want to start our sentence with because, but we might say, this happened, and give an example, because of this. Okay, that might be one way that we might want to use the word because. I might say people are getting black lung disease because of the air. Move my head real quick. Make myself a little bullet. Okay, I might want to use the words for instance. We use this phrase for instance to give an example of what we just said. Okay, I might want to use the words for example. That's obviously for examples. I might want to say the author stated, and then I'm going to want to use quotes if I actually tell what he stated in the text, because they're not my words, they're his. According to the text, and then give the example from the text. Or from the reading, I know that, and then tell what you know. So these would be some of the sentence starters that we would expect to see you guys use. Now, you don't have to use them every single sentence phrase, Okay, we don't want a whole bunch of the author said, for instance, but these are good ways to, when you're paraphrasing and restating what someone else has said, that you give them the credit and you give the text the credit. Okay, so make sure you've either written these down in your notebook, or if you're using this document, they're already here for you. And then I would make sure that I've used at least a couple in each of my paragraphs about the different stories. I would also create a paragraph for each story. That's a good way to organize it. So you can think of Making Mine Safer as paragraph number 1. Sorry. And then you could use the Safe and Sound as paragraph number 2. Okay, so that your ideas are organized together with the story they belong to. That's a really good way to organize that. So as you go back now and read, we're looking for safety problems that we've learned about from both of these stories. So I may scroll back, let me go quicker, to the first story. Oh, they're not on this page, I forgot. Goodness gracious. Let's see if I can go quickly. I might go back to my first story. Here's Making Mine Safer, and I'm going to look. Inspectors closed down a Kentucky coal mine in 2013. They found safety problems. Okay, so here I am hearing about those safety problems. If you're using your computer to do this, you can it's not cheating. It's really not cheating, but it makes life easier because you can copy and paste what you find into your chart instead of having to handwrite everything. Each year, the U.S. Mine Safety and Health Administration does many safety checks. They look for problems. They also check the air. Okay, so let's see. They found too much coal dust was floating in the air. Okay, so that would be a problem that I might add to my chart, and I'm not doing all of this with you. I'm just giving you a couple examples. Okay, and I might even want to say, ooh, too much coal dust was floating in the air. This is dangerous because, and then give examples of why they said this is bad. They said too much dust in the air can lead to an explosion, and it can cause lung disease. Okay, now when I get ready to add this to my actual writing, okay, I've got my charts filled out and I'm ready to start writing. You might want to also think about how you can I didn't want to do that. Oh well, it's okay, we have different colored bullets. You might want to think about how you can combine these into a compound sentence, how you might restate them in your own words, because we don't want to copy word for word. So I would take these ideas and I might say, okay, now how can I restate this into a sentence in my paragraph? I know I can say, according to the text, one safety problem coal miners face. Do you hear how I restated the question in my sentence? Is explosions, and I'm going to flip it, make it backwards. Explosions and lung disease that might happen because of too much coal dust in the air. So I want you to look at how I used according to the text. So they knew where it was coming from. I used the evidence word because. There's 2 evidence-based words. And then I also combined all of this, that's 3 sentences, into 1 sentence, showing what the problem is and why it's a problem. But I did it in my own words so that I haven't just stolen the ideas of somebody else. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with you. The rest is up to you. But at least now you have an example of what a sentence should look like after you. And this is a great way to do it. find your details from the story, create your sentence. Because now, when I get ready to make my final writing, the final draft to submit for my test, I can copy and paste it right out of here onto a blank page. And then I may just have to add a couple sentences to make it flow and make sense. But most of my writing is done during my planning time. Okay, so today when you come to class, be prepared to start working on your chart, whether it's in your notebook or whether you're going to do it in your Google Docs. It's up to you. But this is what we're going to be doing today in our small groups so that you can have time to do a well thought out, planned, written response to number 14. See you guys later.